Welcome back everyone to Data Science for Everyone. Today we're going to be talking about updating arrays in state. Let's get started. So arrays, as we know them, here are something that basically, if we do an array here it's mutable in JavaScript, okay? So we should be able to treat them as immutable whenever we store them in state. Now, just like with objects, when we want to update an array, we store them in a state, we need to create a new one, okay? Or make a copy of the existing one and then set the state to use the new array. So here's going to be a couple things that we're going to look at in the next couple of videos. We're going to look at how to add and remove and change items in an array in React state, and how to update an object inside of an array, and how to make array copying less repetitive. Okay, and again, these may be taking up a couple of the different videos, and we'll see how they go. So now, updating without mutation. So JavaScript arrays are just another kind of object. Okay, and we need to treat arrays in React state as read only. This means that you shouldn't be able to reassign items inside of an array. So we have a couple different ways that we can do this. Now we can mutate things, which is what we want to avoid, and then we can also return new arrays, and that's actually what we're going to do. So if I pull up a little example here, we actually want to be looking at this area here, the preferred. Okay, so we are going to be using concat, we're going to use filter and slice, map, and again, copy the array first, something like that, okay? Now, and again, the reason for this is that just the way that we need to think about arrays in general with React. So again, what we can do is let's maybe go on and create up a small app that utilizes an array. Okay, so let me go on and remove this. Let's import use state, okay, from React. And then we'll say let next ID is equal to 0. And then we're going to, basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a, maybe just make a list, okay? Make some, like a to-do list. So let's do export default function. And again, we'll just call this a big list here. And we'll say const, again, let's say item, set item is equal to use state, and we're going to leave this empty. And then let's also go on and say, let me think here about what we may want in here. Initially I'm wanted to do const items, set items is equal to use state of some array. Now, I don't really like this because, again, this item and items is very close to each other. So let's just call this an array for now and set array. Okay, because this is technically the array itself, and these are the items that are going to be coming from that array. Okay, so maybe, and again, because we use the list here, so I don't want to really use set list. Okay, or maybe, again, since we're maybe this could be to do, and this is set to do. I still like the array so that we can kind of get an idea of this, because again, what we're doing here is we have an array, and then we have an item 1, item 2, so on. Okay, and again, the little brackets in here talk about is an array. So we'll just say array r and set. Let's do set r. And again, I can't use array because again, it's a special value here. All right, so That'll be fine, I think. And what we're going to go on and do then is when we return this, we're going to do something like h1, and we're going to say my to-do list. Okay. And again, we've done some to-do lists before, but this is just a little bit different way. So input here, and what are we going to have here? We'll have a value is equal to item. And then we will have the onChange method here is going to be set item e dot target dot value. And then we want some button here. And that button will say add item. Just add item here. All right, and inside of this button, we're going to have an onClick here, and we will set this oops. What are we going to set this as here? We'll say set array, and then we're going to open up that array, or we're going to spread out whatever the contents are of that array, and we're going to keep the ID with the next ID plus plus, because again, we're going to add one for each one. And then we're going to set the item and the item. Okay. And I think that should be okay for that bit. Now, what are we going to have it do? Okay, so we've added up our button. Then we actually want to have in here our unordered list. Again, you could have it as an ordered list as well. I guess that doesn't necessarily matter. But for now, let's have this as the array dot map the array, and then what do we want in here? We want the list item, okay? And here our key is going to be the array dot, I believe, ID. And then what do we want in here? We want the array dot item, I believe. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that. Let's run this, and then let's take a look here at what we got. So start. All right, and it's started up. So let's go over. Now we should be able to do something like test, and we should be able to add an item, another, and add an item, even more, and add an item. Great. So now what we're doing here is we are spreading out the array. So we've used that spread syntax that we talked about before, okay, with this set right here. Okay, and then in this way, spread can do the job of both, kind of like this. If we talked about some of these others, talking about like push, adding, and shift. Okay, so it's technically taking up that and then kind of helping us out with that as we've done before. Now, what would happen, let's say if we have a list, okay, and we want to remove items from the list. Okay, so this one here, we are building up a list. Now what happens if we want to remove things from a list? Okay, so I'm going to actually take all of this and I'm going to comment it out, except for the import use state. We're going to go down here and we're going to start afresh. Okay, so let's set up a list of tasks. Okay, so let tasks equal to some array here, and this is going to be array of objects, so we'll have an ID of 0. Item is going to be, again, I'm a professor, so I'll say grade papers, ID 1, item, make content for class 1, ID 2, item, and here maybe I did something fun. Go skateboarding. Okay, so we have our tasks. Okay, now we want to set up the listing function. Okay, so let's go in and do that. So let's do an export default function here. We're doing the list const, and again here it'll be item set item use state, and here we'll call this what did we call that? We called that tasks, right? So this is going to be tasks. Okay, so we are, again, what we're doing here is we're setting that initial population for what we want, and it's going to spread it out between these two items. And then we're going to want to return, and here again we're going to have an H1, and it's going to be my to-do list. And we'll start out with an unordered list. And again, similarly to what we did before here, it's going to be item. Now here, what we're going to do is dot map. Okay, we're going to map out each item. And each of these is going to be our list. Okay, and the inside of that, the key here is going to be item.id, and the content itself here is going to be item.item. And I don't like actually that I'm calling it item, so we're actually going to change this to task. This is going to be task. Too many items, and it's not. Okay, so again, this is tasks, each task inside of the task list. So tasks, then each item, okay, is going to have a task. We're going to have the item, which is going to have an ID and a task. So then that item is also going to have a task here. And we'll want, let's also put in a maybe a space in here. So there's a little bit of space there because we're going to put a button off to the side here. Okay, so that's why we're wanting to put in this space here, is because we'll put in a kind of like a done button, and whenever they click that done button, it's going to disappear. So, and again, that's why here we're going to give it a little bit of space, and we're going to put in our button. Now, this button is going to just say, I think, yeah, maybe done or completed. Maybe complete. Okay, so it'll have that complete task. Now, what do we want on that side? And actually, it may show us here. Notice here is complete, 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 because it has in here our tasks, but we haven't set any of that information for inside of it just yet. Okay, so inside of this button, we want on click. Here is going to be set item, and it's going to have tasks dot filter i.id is not equal to what? I think it's item.id. Item. Yeah, I think that'll work. Let's see how that works here. Oh, okay. And so we have a bit of an issue here. So let's refresh. All right. So there we go. We have grade papers, make content for class, go skateboarding. All right. So I've graded my papers for today. I have made content. Oh, and grade papers came back. All right. So we got an error happening here. So let's see what's going on here. Okay. Because again, what should happen is this should be able to be completely emptied. And so my guess is when we were doing our naming convention, I probably shouldn't have used item in here so much. So let's see where this is item here. You know what? Let's change this to items. So then this can be items. And then set item. This is going to be items. I think maybe that was why. Now let's take a look. Yeah, okay. So that was what was going on here. I had items stuck in here. I put this as tasks, which is this. And that's why it wasn't actually removing anything, because it wasn't using the state. And so then, again, that's why your naming conventions are pretty important. And again, here, I guess I could have kept this as item, because it is some item and an item. ID, but again, I believe I works just as well. Again, let's just double check everything. Yeah, because I need these as I, because these are different from this item here. Okay. So what we've done here is we have it so that we can pre-create a list in here where we can say, all right, we have a pre-made list of to-dos. So let's say maybe you're making work. You have like a task list every day that you start out with for certain workers. And then you want to go through and you say, all right, as I complete a task, they complete it, and it adds into the backend. When they're done, maybe they can go home. Okay? So a couple things that have happened here, right? So how did we actually go about doing this? Well, we have been clicking this complete button here, right? And that has been using a fantastic little set here, okay? So we have been, and maybe I can give it some space here so we can actually see what's going on. Well, we've been using this filter here. So here, items.filter I arrow I.id is not equal to item.id means that we're going to create an array that consists of those items whose IDs are different from the items ID is different from the item ID. Okay, so in other words, each item's complete button will filter that item out of the array and then request to re-render with the resulting array. So this filter does not modify the original array whatsoever. We're not modifying tasks. Okay, we're modifying that copy of it. So this items is technically a copy of that, and that's actually what we are filtering. That is what we are changing. Okay. So I hope you guys like this, and we're going to be continuing this in the next video. We'll be looking at how to move around and transform arrays in different ways. If you guys like this and want more of this material, please comment, subscribe, and hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.